Well, hi, everyone. I hope that you're having a beautiful Friday. We're at the beginning of the weekend. Welcome to Vermont Sun and Shade. And forgive my voice as I have been coming out of a cold here. And I thank everyone who has been so very kind to me, especially over on the other channels if you're visiting here, for your kind words of recovery. So I am totally on the good side of this cold, but I wanted to share with you today an article by Vermont Fish and Wildlife on loons. And it talks about protecting the nests of the loons. And it's talking to boaters, fishermen, people who are just watching the loons. And it gives some really good tips on how to keep the loons safe. And it brings our awareness a little bit more as to how loons might react to humans and how we can actually endanger them just by being mesmerized by them and watching them. So it's talking about first of all, that the loons were taken off of the endangered species in 2005. But during all of the past 20 years, almost 20 years ago, but there's many people who are helping the loons survive because there's many things that contributed to them being on the endangered species. And one of them is they're talking about um, when boaters, for example, if you're in a kayak or you're in a canoe and you're mesmerized by the loon and you're close to it and you start following it because you're interested in it, you might not realize you're distressing it, and especially if it keeps going away from you. And they also draw caution to the fact that a loon can get so distressed it will leave its babies, it will leave its nest inadvertently, not realizing it's just trying to get away from the human. So, with that, this article goes on and on and on, re emphasizing to keep our distance. So, with that, it's also reminding anglers to avoid using lead fishing tackle. And every year, Vermont loons die from lead poisoning after swallowing the fishing tackle. Lead sinkers weighing 1/2 ounce or less are prohibited in Vermont, but larger tackle still has the capacity to slough off lead into the environment over time. Renfrew recommends that anglers be careful not to attract loons to their bait and lures, and especially not to leave any fishing line behind, as of course it can entangle and unalive our loons. I have to use the word unalive because we're on YouTube. The Waterbury Reservoir has containers for fishing tackle disposal placed by nonprofit environmental group Friends of Waterbury Reservoir. So so they go on about the fact that these tackles are there and they are placed in more than 20 boat access areas. Hanson says most people are respectful of the nesting loons and give them space, but people sometimes inadvertently harm loons without meaning to. Loon chicks can be difficult to see, so we ask boaters to know where loon families are and to avoid these areas. We also ask the motorboaters obey no wake laws within 200 feet of the shorelines because boat wakes can flood and destroy shoreline loon nests. So they're asking the boaters to stay more than 200 feet away from the shores. As Vermont loon populations continue to increase and canoeing and kayaking continue to become more popular, there is greater potential for people to come in conflict with loons. Hanson reminds boaters to avoid pursuing the loons with your kayak, as I was saying, especially loons with young. Occasionally, a loon will be curious and approach people, and if that happens, simply enjoy it. However, loons that are constantly swimming away from you are stressed, and they may abandon their young if they feel they are in danger. So, and then at the end here, it says volunteers, if you're interested in volunteering and monitoring loons for the Loon Conservation Project, you should contact Hanson at loon@vtcostudies.org, and I'll write it in the content. Volunteers can monitor lakes all summer long with a focus on the lake with loon pairs and nesting. So, and then it goes further to say that this year, July 20th, between 8 and 9 is a Loon Watch Day. The goal is to survey all the lakes greater than 20 acres simultaneously to get a population count. So I hope that that inspires you, and that we nurture and help take care of our beautiful, beautiful loons here in the state of Vermont. So with that, you have a beautiful week.